Okay, we're live stream. Man, I thought it'd be best to come on this morning. We've been giving you a lot of content. We'll go with 82, saluting Jimmy Smith, probably the greatest receiver in Jacksonville Jaguars history. Keenan McCardell was a great one, too. And together, McCardell and Jimmy Smith were tremendous back in the Tom Coughlin era. Now, the biggest news, though, is, as you know, Baalke was fired a couple of days ago, and then the Jaguars reached back out to Liam Coen, who had turned him down and was thought to be going back to Tampa Bay, going to get a nice raise as the offensive coordinator with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now everything's changed with Baalke being fired. Apparently, the Jaguars reached out to Liam Coen with huge money, the power to perhaps even, decide who he wants his GM to be. And this is kind of unheard of for a first-time head coach. Desperation by the Jaguars? Well, partially, but I think they found their guy, Liam Coen. The difference between Ben Johnson and Liam Coen, Ben Johnson was the number one guy. He's taking the Bears job. And they were both offensive coordinators, one with the Lions and Coen with Liam Coen with the Buccaneers. Both did great things with their quarterbacks, and that's the hope Liam Coen coming to Jacksonville can do with Trevor Lawrence. And when you go back to talking about general manager Trent Baalke, we talked at nauseum about he should have been fired like 2 months ago. That never happened. Then it finally happened. I guess Shad Khan had enough. Ben Johnson turned the Jaguars down, and I think Ben Johnson was going to come here. No, I know he's got to put on really a Bears face now and a Bears front, saying he wanted to work with their quarterback Caleb more now than Trevor. I mean, he's got to say those things because he's the new head coach of the Chicago Bears going forward. And the same thing now, it appears nothing's been dotted. No T's have been crossed, no I's dotted, but and there's an I in Liam Coen. He's going to be given the power. He's got the power to say, I'll be the GM now. Whoa, but and this sounds like the power that Bill Belichick had, Tom Coughlin had originally in Jacksonville, and that's what Liam Coen is going to have. Now, I mentioned to John Gaylor, man, wouldn't it be great if Mark Brunell still came here as the quarterback coach? I don't know if that happens. A bit of optimism in all this is that Liam Coen did spend time, I believe, as the OC with the LA Rams. So he was, he got a chance to be around Les Snead, who I think would have been a great GM in Jacksonville. And I'm sure that Les Snead is going to stay with the LA Rams probably the rest of his career at this point. So he's from the tree, but he doesn't have general manager experience, but he's not got head coaching experience, but he's got a tremendous offensive mind. He did great things with Baker Mayfield. And it's not 100% official yet, but every report I'm seeing is that Liam Coen is going to be coming to Jacksonville and becoming the head coach. So that appears to be what's going to happen. I've seen things all over Twitter. There's a lot of different things out there, obviously. Also the Shad Khan letter, the firing of Trent was interesting. And Shad says all the right things. I mean, you could almost like call them separation papers. You thank, Trent Baalke for everything. But the stumbling block was Trent Baalke as far as Ben Johnson or Liam Coen coming to Jacksonville, the top two candidates. So the Jags don't get the top candidate, and Ben Johnson, he's in Chicago. He's landed with the Bears. But now Liam Coen, the difference is Ben Johnson has taken a head coaching job with the Bears. Liam Coen was going back to his, we've got to learn to say his name better, Liam Coen. So what changed? Why did Liam Coen want to take this job? I saw different reports. He got on a plane to Jacksonville. One report I'm looking at from Diana Rossini on Twitter or the X, and I don't know, people. There's a lot of conjecture out there, but this sounds close to what might have happened. So what changed for Liam Coen? He got on the plane to Jacksonville after Jags ownership called him directly and explained they will let him pick the general manager and would pay him Ben Johnson level money along with multiple years per sources. I don't know who all these sources are, but this is floating around the Twitter or the X. And it makes sense. You turn down, and you probably hated turning down the job to begin with, but you're going back, you're going to get a raise, you're still going to work with your quarterback, Baker Mayfield, as the offensive coordinator, and a head coaching job will most likely come along again, later on for Liam Coen. But then all of a sudden, the Jags fired Baalke. They reached back out to Coen, and I think this is pretty close to what's happened. Could Liam Coen be the general manager? Sure. I don't think he will be. I think there'll be somebody in that seat. I don't know who'll be in that seat. I do know the Jaguars brought Tony Baselli in for any more interviews they do. But now, obviously, Liam Coen, when you think about it, he's done a second interview, and he may do a third interview, but I think they've already decided they're going to hire him, and it sounds like he's going to sign the contract. And I'm Scott with the Teal Shirt Report podcast. We're brought to you by Salsa Realty and Capital, the medmexmix.weebly.com. Max has a Wednesday night request show. I was on Max's show last Wednesday. Also, Lakeview Fall of Hits and JC's Live from the Pub Show. Great show. JC played a request by the Police for me, an old song called Peanuts. It was basically a jam session. I saw the video of Stuart Copeland on the drums. You remember years ago, he would wear shorts and play the drums, so it was very informal. And it was progressive. Go listen to it on YouTube. The Police, a song called Peanuts. And in one of the videos, they dedicated it to Jimmy Carter. Going to dedicate it to Jimmy Carter. Now, you got to remember, this song was back performed by the Police, Peanuts, back in the late 70s. I fell asleep. JC, I don't know if you played Little River Band. It's a long way there or not. Little River Band's coming to Jacksonville or Northeast Florida. Where is that show? My goodness. Let's pull up the concerts. Liam Coen coming to Jackson. Sean County separates with separation. Sean, whenever somebody gets fired, he comes up with that letter and that statement for the media. And after the Jags are turned down by two offensive coordinators for a head coaching job, he has to say, well, and everybody said it's Baalke. They didn't want to come here up. I think Ben Johnson, back there's reports coming out that Ben Johnson said he did not like the setup, and that would include Baalke when he was the GM of the Jaguars. Now, Baalke's only been gone for like 2 days. While the interim GM is the GM, the interim GM for the Jacksonville Jaguars. But I think Coen is going to have complete power. If there's a GM candidate he likes, he can get them. Tony Baselli on interviews. Tony Baselli might make a he's never been a GM, but he was a great player and a Hall of Famer, and I think he's a guy you lean on. I think it makes perfect sense to plug Mark Brunell from Lions, unless he's going with Ben Johnson to the Bears. So there's a lot of working parts here, but I think the number one thing to report is that Liam Coen, unless something opera, Baalke was running like a train wreck, and now it's like a crazy soap opera where the Jags pick up the phone and basically promise Liam Coen everything but the kitchen sink. And maybe that too. He'll have a lot of power, probably name his own GM. It's gonna be more than Shad Khan saying, well, Urban, who are you comfortable with as your GM? No, it's going to be Liam. Who is going to be your GM? Who's going to be making the draft picks? Of course, you'll be in on the power of doing that too. And the Jacksonville Jaguars definitely need offensive linemen, if you know what I mean. Concerts around North Florida. By the way, the Teal Shirt Report podcast brought to you by Social Realty and Capital. For your real estate needs in North Florida, whether it's home, residential, business, or commercial real estate, you go to bigjreport.com, scroll the home page, and our local weather reports. High today, only 49. We're sitting at 30 cold degrees on this Friday morning, January the 24th, 30 cold degrees, wind chill making it feel colder than that. Bitter cold temperatures here in Jacksonville, Florida. Shows coming up in North Florida. Gladys Night Live at the Florida Theater in Jacksonville, Florida on Saturday, March the 8th of 2025. Foreigner will be in St. Augustine at the St. Augustine Amphitheater on Sunday, March 16th of 2025 at 7 o'clock p.m. Reportedly, tickets for the Foreigner show going really, really well. The show where Foreigner comes to St. Augustine at the St. Augustine Amphitheater on March 16th of 2025 at 7 o'clock p.m. for the showtime. Little River Band will be in concert on Thursday night, March 27th of 2025 at 8 o'clock p.m. It will be in downtown Jacksonville at the Florida Theater. And we got other shows at bigjreport.com in the Neighbors 2 sections. So please, by all means, check it out. Big news from Jacksonville with the Jaguars. It looks like Liam Coen will officially become the Jacksonville Jaguars head coach. It's not official, but it's coming out of multiple sources that apparently Liam Coen got back on a plane. These conversations were taking place. Basically, I guess you'd call this the second interview because he was going to do a second interview, but he turned the job down. So, there was a report that Liam Coen in the last 24 hours really ghosted Tampa Bay. I think he's taken the Jacksonville Jaguars job. I'm Scott with the Teal Shirt Report podcast, your host. This has been a live stream. I want to thank our executive producer, JC. Also, we got some things coming up with the Teal Shirt Report podcast. Can't disclose it yet, but it's coming soon. Please subscribe to our channel. Special thanks to our executive producer, JC. Also, Alex Nunnery, another producer, and John Gaylor. We've been in conversation over the last few hours via Messenger. John Gaylor also won the Teal Shirt Report podcast fantasy football league, and he and I had a side wager. And John, it's that payment is on the way to you soon. I can promise you. We're going to get that to you before the end of January. So we appreciate you guys tuning in to the Teal Shirt Report podcast. We're going to call this episode show number 82. Saluting Jimmy Smith, probably the best wide receiver in Jacksonville Jaguars history. Could Brian Thomas Jr. be number 2? What a rookie year he had, well over 1,200 yards receiving. And Liam Coen's probably saying, man, the Jags got a receiver. I can work with Trevor, the quarterback. We get offensive linemen in the draft, a new defensive coordinator, and shore up a lot of things. And maybe this can be a quicker fix than people think. But it looks like Liam Coen. And we've seen this has been like a soap opera with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Shad Khan, Baalke on the way out being fired, like we were hoping he'd be fired a couple of months back, but he finally got fired like 2 days ago. And it looks like Liam Coen is going to be the new head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm Scott. This has been the Teal Shirt Report podcast, episode show number 82, a live stream. Let me hear your comments, and please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. This has been the Teal Shirt Report podcast, episode show, absolutely number 82. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.